We want to talk about cell phones because a lot of people are wondering what happens when you take out a cell phone and you use it, and if there's some kind of radiation that's involved. And you actually, and you might want to do this yourself. If you go to your iPhone, for example, and you hit settings, and after you go to settings, you essentially can go to the settings in general, and then go all the way down to a little thing that says legal. So you go to settings, then you go to general, and then you go to legal, right? And when you go to legal, it actually, I didn't know this, I just learned this. You can go on your cell phone. I don't know if you can see it. You can see it on your cell phone, and there's a setting right there at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. See, it says RF exposure. RF exposure. I had no idea. And when you go to your cell phone and you read this, you can find out how they do this test and where you're actually supposed to carry your phone. And they said that you're not supposed to carry your phone so close to your body. Because when they do the test, they do it away from the body. Isn't that fascinating? So we wanted to know more about this, so we decided to look into the study. The United States released the results of the world's largest and most expensive study on the effects of cell phone radiation. Now, it's based on tests on rats, of course, but what they found is clear evidence of cancer. Today, and this is why we wanted to look into this, Food and Drug Administration, which called for the creation of the program in the first place, is now casting doubt on these findings. Here's RT correspondent Dan Cohen with the story.
Back in 1999, the Food and Drug Administration requested that the National Toxicology Program study the effects of cell phone radiation on humans. The FDA's original letter said, quote, "A significant research effort, including well-planned animal experiments, is needed to provide the basis to assess the risk to human health of wireless communication devices." 19 years later, the $25 million program has concluded. The results? Clear evidence of tumors in the hearts of male rats, some evidence of tumors in the brains of male rats, and some evidence of tumors in the adrenal glands of male rats. The FDA released a statement saying it disagrees with the conclusion of clear evidence of cancer in rodents.
They're clearly just ignoring the evidence. I can't believe they're ignorant of the studies that have shown repeatedly in many countries that excessive cell phone use increases the risk of glioblastoma especially, and also schwannomas of the auditory nerve. This is frosting on the cake in terms of that evidence, and I can't understand how any legitimate scientists can ignore that evidence.
The FDA added that conclusions on safety of cell phones on humans can't be drawn because the studies were conducted on rats, just as it had originally called for.
That's absolute nonsense. The way we test for the toxicity of all chemicals is to start with a study in rats and mice and animals. Because the genetic composition of rats and mice are almost 100% identical to those of humans, maybe 98%, something like that. But this is how we determine when things cause cancer in humans. And rarely will there be any substance that causes cancer in animals that doesn't also in humans.
Indeed, the same heart and brain cancers that the National Toxicology Program found in rats have also been found in humans.
This result is totally consistent with what we know to occur in humans, and now we have the proof that it also occurs in animals.
Had the FDA accepted the results, it would then inform the Federal Communications Commission, which would update its regulations. But barring a reversal from the FDA, the standards set way back in 1996 will remain in place. Reporting in Washington, Dan Cohen, RT.
Last night we talked about how the fifth generation of wireless technology, or 5G as it's being rolled out worldwide without safety testing. Let me say that again, without safety testing, and how we've got scientists and doctors and environmental organizers saying, stop this. Because in terms of the effects of wireless radiation, the science is in. Wireless radiation can lead to cancerous heart tumors, brain tumors, DNA damage. Wireless radiation is linked to infertility, to autism, Alzheimer's, and more. And guess what? All the effects that I just listed Those are some of the effects that are known according to the technology that's being seen today. So, what happens when we roll out the next technology, 5G? How much more powerful is 5G? How much more troublesome might it be? Well, we bring in now our NRS correspondent, Michelle Greenstein, who's been working on this. I would imagine if those things are all potentially dangerous now, 5G can only, add to it, right? It could be more dangerous, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the question to be asking, because it's not just faster internet. Right now with 4G and LTE, which is a part of that, we have about a 50 millisecond delay. 5G is going to bring us about a 1 millisecond delay. So you and I are not going to notice that technological difference, right? But what this means is that machines will be communicating with each other quite seamlessly. And 5G is going to be the platform, it's going to be the infrastructure for all of this smart grid technology, the Internet of Things, right? We're going to have integrated smart homes with all of our devices connected. That means you can press a touch screen on your refrigerator and order more coffee, or set the mood lighting, or start playing some music. And we're told that things like smart driving cars are going to lead to less accidents, or that smart meters are going to give utilities and customers more data, more information, so we can avoid blackouts and things like that. But of course, all this more data from a health perspective means more disease, because these devices are constantly pulsing with radiation.
Pulsing with radiation. I would think that if someone had come and said, we are going to develop this omnipresent system that's going to surround us with this stuff, that's going to be pulsing radiation everywhere, somewhere along the line, somebody would have asked, well, hold on a minute, let's run this by the experts first and make sure we're all going to be safe. So how do we get to this point?
Well, I think the really important question to ask is, how can we protect ourselves against this wireless radiation? Yeah. And I actually spoke to Cece Doucette. She's the founder of an international nonprofit called Wireless Education, and I asked her what we can do to protect ourselves. Let's see what she said.
Okay.
Assess what you have in your own possession that you can control. For example, in my home, we have completely hardwired all of our technology. My computers run a lot faster. They're certainly more safe because we don't have any radio frequency exposures. A lot of our technology appears to be hardwired, but you have to take it one step further and also go into your settings and turn off all the antennas. You can buy a little adapter to hardwire most of your cell phones, and that just means plug it into your router using an Ethernet cable, and then just put a little adapter on that will allow you to plug directly into your device. But plugging it in does not automatically disable those antennas. So you just simply go into settings, identify all the antennas. One cell phone may have 5 or 6 separate antennas. There could be one for cellular, one for data, one for Bluetooth, one for Wi-Fi, one for locator, and by now the industry is using us as their network, so there could be an additional one for a hotspot. Turn them all off and hit save, and you will have nice, safe technology.
So she's speaking from a personal perspective, right? We should make sure that as many of our devices as possible should be hardwired. But the issue with 5G is that it will be impossible to walk outside without exposing yourself to this radiation, because these small cell towers are going to be everywhere. Now, Rick, you asked how we got here. We got here because the FCC, the organization that is supposed to be regulating the wireless industry, has been completely captured by the wireless industry itself. We know that these so-called public servants, or our representatives, and all these government entities have really been captured by the wireless industry, and that's what happens when any industry gets so big that it can afford to use a government body.
Your wireless earphones are convenient, but researchers are warning the technology could be linked to cancer. And now some scientists are calling for regulations. RT's Trinity Chavez has the story.
There's been growing concern around wireless devices and the health implications associated with them. Experts even signing a petition warning against devices that emit radio frequency.
I'm not surprised, because I think probably cell phones aren't safe either, but so probably the same concept.
Some 250 people signed a petition to the United Nations and the World Health Organization, which warns against numerous devices that emit radio frequency radiation, which is used in Wi-Fi, cellular data, and Bluetooth. The scientists said numerous recent scientific publications have shown that EMF affects living organisms at levels well below most international and national guidelines. Now experts citing new concerns. In an interview with Medium, a University of Colorado professor said, "My concern for AirPods is that their placement in the ear canal exposes tissues in the head to relatively high levels of radio frequency radiation." While Apple has previously said that Apple products are always designed and tested to meet or exceed all safety requirements, many believe more research is required.
I think more tests need to be run for, products that have any sort of damage to anyone's health, tests need to be run.
A spokesperson for the World Health Organization said they're in the process of developing an environmental health criteria monograph to review all health outcomes, including cancer, that has been associated to exposure of radio frequency fields. It's expected next year. Reporting in New York, Trinity Chavez, RT.